Hey everyone, this is Stingray reporting to you from the Helton River area, San Antonio River area, out near Floresville, Texas. And I'm headed back to San Antonio. There are a lot of, let me see if I can get you to see some of it. There's a lot of things falling, seeds from the trees. They seem like the things that the cottonwood give off. Maybe it's from the plants, I'm not really sure. The air is filled with all these little seeds floating around, and I've seen quite a few frogs out here today, a lot of frogs, there's one hopping in front of me, toads. Maybe you can see this one. Since the screen is facing me that's showing the video, it's hard for me to know if what I'm showing you is in the frame. It's hard for me to know if what I'm telling you is something that you're hearing when I say that everything that I'm showing you is interconnected, from the very elemental beginner's aspect of what you and I might consider addiction. And in those particular ways, in these particular ways, I'm trying to show you a story that tells you, hey, I'm trying to showcase wellness and conservation in a meaningful way where people do change the way that they're approaching some of these things. And I'm also trying to show you nature, wildlife. You can hear the cicadas calling out. Listen. You can hear the birds calling out. You can hear a lot of things. You can even hear nearby traffic, which is just another element of nature passing us by. And it's beautiful to think that on this beautiful day, there are people going about their business, enjoying the day and doing something. Today's a great day to do that. So if you're watching this segment today, thank you so much for joining me. It's been a very hot and sweaty day, and I'd like to give a special thank you to one of my cousins for rescuing me. I was pretty dehydrated, and they brought me a couple of drinks to enjoy so that I could actually spend just a little bit more time out in this park where, if anyone knows me, you can see, look at how much I'm sweating. I definitely perspire quite a bit. Sometimes I think that there are people who are either eating differently or they're just naturally in that way where they perspire a lot more than other people. And so I was trying to see if I could show you what was just about to fly by based on a shadow that just passed me by, but I wasn't able to. Anyway, I sweat a lot is what I'm saying, and as I tell you, I know that I'm releasing a lot of toxins, and that's why I talk a lot about owning up to our sins, taking responsibility. These kind of things are the same thing as anyone else might say when they say the truth will set you free. The truth will set you free. When you own up to your truth, you basically begin to do a few less drive-bys, and you actually stop in front of the thing that used to concern you the most, and you quote-unquote confront that which you were formerly afraid of. And that's essentially the same as we can do with our nightmares when we're going to sleep, when we go to a state that sometimes might be causing us anxiety even though we don't realize it. In other words, if we have nightmares all the time, it might be that we have trouble going to sleep because of that. Maybe we're not at ease when we go to sleep. If you're able to be at ease in your dreams, then your waking hours shouldn't be any different. And with that in mind, all you have to do is just switch from one mindset to another. Unless there's something happening, unless someone's actively throwing you headfirst into a situation that's going to harm you, unless someone's actively throwing a punch at you, unless someone is actively denouncing you and putting you down, and even then, you're still not really in jeopardy until someone literally throws you in front of trouble or throws trouble at you. If they're trying to throw words at you, those words, man, I'm rubber, you're glue. Remember that saying? I'm rubber, you're glue. Anything you say bounces off me and sticks to you. That's the same thing that happens with any negative energy that's yielded, that's leveraged against you. When it gets leveraged against you like that, it basically becomes a fulcrum and magnifies the effect on the other person. And with peace, it's different. It's something that's yielded to one another. You don't do something peaceful towards one another in a way that's like, I'm doing this to bring peace. You do it because it's what needed to be done. That's really all there is to it, you know? And so what's really needed to be done here is possibly a cleanup of some of the situation that we have immersed ourselves in. Look, you got to see this. Earlier, I was basically just about to film this exact scene that's about to happen in front of me, and then my cousin arrived right at that moment and was calling, and so I was like, I'm not going to have a chance to record this, and so I didn't think to just get a quick clip because it wouldn't have been as impactful anyway. But when I talk about cleaning up the situation and the addictions that we have, this is what I'm talking about. All right, you see my face in here because I'm trying to get the thing that's in the water. I can't zoom in. But I can tell that you're seeing in the middle of the frame almost. It's a big bottle. If I were to guesstimate which brand it is, looks kind of like a Hendrix bottle. I'm not really sure. It's just an approximate shape. Oh, look. Can you see that? It looked like a Mexican Coke bottle. I was just talking about that with my cousin earlier. Did you see that thing that floated in front of me? That was one of those seed things that are floating in front of us that kept pelting us in the face. All in all, there are signs upon signs of synchronicity when we talk the truth, and those signs are things where I'm certain that it's almost as if we could call things into existence, not because we called it into existence right then like a conjurer, but maybe because it was already there, placed eons in advance to help orchestrate the most beautifully created tapestry of a master plan that ever could be imagined. So, for those in any segment who continue to ask me to put God first, every moment that I put into helping one another, into helping you, into helping me, into helping clean up a situation that our fathers may not have fully even known was dirty to begin with. Anytime we help one another to do these things, some miracles will happen over and over, synchronicities. So, with all that in mind, it was no coincidence that you drove by and did not wave and you just kind of looked forward and sped up so that I wouldn't see you. Hopefully you recognize I've seen you for a long time, just like you've seen me. The question is, how do we see one another? Whose eyes do we see one another through? And why are we looking at each other in that way? Why aren't we just helping and chipping in where work can be contributed? It's possibly because of transitional, generational debt. And I'm not trying to, definitely don't want to point fingers. I know I've contributed my amount of debt to this scenario. And I don't mind paying for it, you know. If I have to work to get that, which I have enjoyed, I'm going to work to do it. And I might say a couple of F-bombs along the way when I'm like incredulous about certain things, you know. That doesn't mean that I'm practicing sorcery when I say a word that has a meaning of emphasis. But in some cases, some people may be practicing sorcery. And sorcery usually involves aspects of sacrificing in ways that are detrimental to something, like wringing the neck of a chicken, shedding of blood from a pig, you know, or using an egg or whatever. All of these sacrificial things might be a rendition of something for good or bad. You know, it really depends. What becomes of the product after the fact? Was it wasteful? You know, are the energies that we are consuming wasteful enough that they're expressing themselves in our health? I've talked often about reversing our health and making it better, and I'm bringing you into nature where you can hear me talk, and you can also hear these wonderful animals in the background, so that you can. I don't know what that sound was. Did you hear it? If I didn't know any better, I would have said, because I have no idea what that is. I would say that that was an owl or something in the trees across the river. There's wisdom. There's wisdom among the lineage, even in the younger ranks. And in some movies that I'll misquote, I'll reference the wrong people doing the wrong things. But in today's movie, I'm going to reference Eight-Legged Freaks, which is about giant spiders. It wasn't until someone recognized that the kid in the movie brought the attention of the adults to a circumstance of rapidly growing arachnids. And once the adult recognized the kid in a group for having that observance, he also got the group's attention and said, hey, this kid, he needs to be heard. And the kid, the first thing he brought to the table to all of the panicky adults who were yelling and screaming back and forth and bickering about who was right about what and all of that, probably talking about powers of attorney and stuff to figure out who was going to take on the expense of all this. All the adults are bickering, and then the kid has a respected person of the community vouch for the kid. And that respected person in the community, like an uncle or someone who might have been a representative of some high-ranking office, basically the adult who represented the youth for providing the insight, got all of the people to be quiet for just a moment. And the kid said, first of all, these spiders are attracted to vibration. So all of your yelling and bickering and all that is attracting the very thing that you don't want attracted to us, especially while we're just regrouping and we're vulnerable. In a lot of ways, a lot of us are vulnerable, aren't we? I know I am. There's no way around it. It takes an extreme amount of vulnerability to tell your honest truth and what's happening in your day. So as I tell this story, the fact is that it took some person who was recognized to team up with someone who was lesser recognized, but they were still saying something in favor of the outcome that everyone wanted, which was safety, security, perseverance, not being devoured by something more terrifying than us as a meal, not being devoured as a meal for something more terrifying than ourselves. We all want to avoid the same nightmares. We all want to avoid not waking up to hearing that your father has burned down their house and almost burned themselves down. We all want to have that same level of peace, right? And so for that matter, the point is that until people team up and start recognizing that a kid is saying that there's some impending danger heading your way, heading all of our way, it's like the kid is they're just living out the same daymare as everyone else. Only difference is the kid's always going to be protected because he was innocent. You know, the kid's always going to be the last person to be hurt. he's going to be the person who was one step ahead because he thought outside of the box, because he had to, because he recognized that that was necessary for what was going on. So for anyone who wants to talk about the fact that I don't talk about religion or I need to seek God, all of the signs are everywhere around us, no matter what kind of mindset or movie or music or anything that you listen to. God is absolutely all around us in every single thing that we see, in every person that we encounter. And the only difference is if we bring peace to one another. And if we don't try to bring peace to one another, what are we bringing to one another? So I hope you're not just watching the evening news and learning from that. That has a lot of has a lot of information on it that may or may not be something that will improve your well-being. There are subconscious things that happen when we're emphatic. And like I said, in one particular mindset, I might use adult language, you know, with words that are fully formed words that have sometimes more than 4 letters because they're pretty good combinations. And those words are really just a sum of intent plus the spelling of it. And in a lot of cases, if you listen to the duality of some words, you'll realize that we might be spelling some weird things into existence by not paying attention to the things that our fathers are selling to us, like benefits and powers of attorney. And the our fathers that we really need to be saying are the ones that I've said several times on these segments, just so we can recognize that there are no words of illness in there, but if it causes anxiety to hear these concepts, we might be not fully. There's a beautiful red cardinal that just dropped down from the branches here. We might not be fully in control of ourselves. And so I would like to tell you today sometimes they'll land. Wanted to tell you a story today about how all of these concepts tie together and how what we focus on can manifest into reality. And it's possible that if collectively, if we're not careful on focusing on certain things, some of the realities that we used to experience only as nightmares might become realities. I know this is some high-level stuff. Look at this. I don't know if you can see that. There's about 4 lacewings on that branch over here. There were a lot of frogs in this little creek or runoff area earlier. There's one, a toad. 1, 2, 3. About the time when I start giving up hope is the time when the signs of life are so profound and so in favor of reminding me of my youth that I remember it doesn't matter how scary things get, God has my back. Does he have your back? God might be just you or me. If you see me in your favorable light, maybe you've given me pardon. Maybe you've given me the ability to heal. just a little better than the day before. Maybe my sleep returns to normal. Maybe my dreams become less scary. And maybe yours do too, as you forgive. Forgive but don't forget doesn't mean forgive but don't forget. It means don't forget. These pitfalls are all around us. The snares are everywhere. And all we can do, look, here's a snare above me. Might be just a webworm. Maybe not a true snare, like a spider web. I don't know how those work. But a web can be a snare. I'm seeing glitter on the ground, foil, some down branches, cigarette butts, some other stuff. And check this out, look at these trees. Did anyone notice that handsome, lonely, beautiful Jeep over there? It's all mine, baby. I paid that off right before the rest of my funds were about to be challenged in a way that I would have to attribute to our fathers. I hope you're enjoying this content. I know that I say a lot and some of it might seem powerfully subjective. Like, if you're not experiencing this in your real life, maybe you have no reason to like this, comment, subscribe, contribute, or anything like that. And at the same time, that guy was biting me, so had to go. No parasites in my group, baby. I mean, they're there, but they're there to challenge the people that aren't keeping up with the group. Once you're able to take care of the parasites on yourself, the spirits, the things that are sucking out your energy, once you're able to take care of those things, you can help others to learn little tricks that are peaceful. I was talking about eight-legged freaks earlier. A spider came across the trail right at that moment, and then it got on the underside of my footwear. And I had to hold my foot up for a while because I didn't want to put my foot down, because as my cousin agreed, I was going to squash the spider if I did that. So I waited, and then it shot out. It shot off and ran out from under my foot finally, and I was able to put my foot down peacefully. Have you ever been able to put your foot down peacefully? I'm having a lot of fun. Are you guys having fun? I haven't talked to my dad yet, but I'm about to get in the car. I just finished doing the yard. I mean, some of the things that I would like to do, like talking with my dad and all that, you know, the way that our system is, we have to pay bills. We have to do things that earn an income. For whatever reason, my dad chose some actions that have kept me from participating in normal life, even if I wanted to right now. And so earning an income, I mean, I think about it, but I also think about the work that has to be done. So I went to cut the yard. And that's, like I said, when I saw one of somebody watching this video driving by, and for whatever reason not stopping. But once again, neither here nor there. It's just an observation, and it's an observation that happened based on synchronicities that we just could not make up if we were trying to. It's part of our story, you know, when we go and grab for that which is not there. Because it's almost like on faith that we find that ourselves reaching for it, like for God or Jesus. When we go for those things that are not there, seemingly, be surprised how easily those things materialize, just as much as the other things that we used to see in the past that we give just as little credit to in some cases, like bad dreams. bad dreams can and will come true, but I'm rubber, you're glue. Whatever you say bounces off me and sticks to you. So if you say blessings to me, blessings to you, you know. If you try to curse me, well, good luck to you. I feel slighted, and all I can say is that was a sign, just like being in an infested area of a place with nothing but fire ants. Maybe I need to not be in that spot anymore. Maybe I need to focus on another part of the yard that I'm mowing. So I did have a small fire ant encounter with my sandals today. It was so small that it didn't really matter. And anyway, it's like, if that's the price I pay, that's one of the smallest prices that I could consider paying. And I'm grateful to pay the price continuously, as long as everyone gets their piece of property in the long run, as long as everyone has their own space to maintain. So I remember it used to be MySpace and then Facebook, and lately it's YouTube for me. All of these things are as temporary as I myself am, and you yourself are, but the reality is the energy, it's so connected that you can't help but understand, hey, you're part of a system, and once you succumb to it, once you yield to it, I should say, not succumb to it, because that's the illness side. Once you yield to the peaceful side, you know, you're not beaten into submission by something that's peaceful. Once you yield to some kind of authority that has something greater to contribute, you'll never know the true concept of what being open and honest is. Forgiveness is first recognizing that there was a problem to begin with, and then moving that forward in a way where you can say, look, hey, I'm truly sorry for causing you the anxiety. I never thought I was meaningfully causing that to you. I myself had a weird encounter where not one Thanksgiving ago, my own relative was trying to jump from my moving vehicle, and then they started basically assaulting me, punching me. And then after all of that, and the cops still wouldn't help me to get my dad to where he needed to get help, after all of that, this guy basically goes and runs from me towards the freeway to a convenience store, robs that store, runs across a parking lot, almost getting hit by a car that's going through the parking lot, and almost fights a woman. And this is a grown man that I'm talking about. And all of that was happening right in front of me. And I was just asking the person on the phone to please get some officers to my assistance. And they said, no, we can't, dispatch can't get to you because that's not so big of a deal. Once the employees ran out after my dad and said, hey, mister, are you going to pay for that? And once I said, look, this is happening right here. My dad's about to fight a woman. You know, it just went on and on. At that point, that's when we got help. Now, when I was asking for help a few days before, my dad literally set his house on fire. That's the same way that I was asking for help. I escalated things in just a way where it's like, you would think there would be some kind of help. Who's the authority figure if you can't talk with your elders? That's a terrible time for me to talk about. That's almost like a nightmare for some people. For me, it's great because it frees up time for me to hang out with my cousin who had not had a hardened heart. My cousin is able to talk about these things, and it made me smile. You know, it was such a joy, and I don't know what else to say except for joy is joy. And some of these things that we forget, that we're quick to forget about, we can also be reminded of and then go, oh, well, now that we know that this is also true, let's backtrack a little and see if there's something we have to undo from the things that we've done in the past, or things that we can fix from things that we've done in the past, or at least things that we can learn better from the things that happened in the past. And one of the things I can tell you that has constantly worked for me is to grab out for the tool that you're supposed to use to fix that issue right in your proximity. Once you recognize that there's a problem. If there's a problem with a high yard, the grass is out of control, and you know someone's not there, not able to fix it, fix it. If you're not able to do it, feel free to ask the other person who's able to do it physically. And also don't forget to exchange in the way that the world knows any kind of energy to be legitimate, a currency that's commensurate with the work that's occurring. whether that's simply transporting one another back and forth, whether that's basically giving, bathing the elderly, whether that's helping people off the floor, whether that's literally helping people out of their addictions, whether that's helping people with their yards. No matter what it is, everything that we can do for one another helps free up time with one another to have and experience joy. So with all of that being said, I hope you enjoyed this amazing river experience with me. Basically, I'm just Ray. Sometimes I'll say, hey, this is Stingray from wherever I'm at. I'm just Ray. And honestly, I've thought many times about changing my name because I don't really feel like my family name says a lot at all in terms of what it stands for. But that's how I felt in the past. Maybe I don't need to change my name. Maybe I need to become the thing that my name is known for, and overcome whatever it was known for in the past. Does that make sense? Our fathers, they might have pictures in different places being representatives of whatever, and our youth, we have a whole lot of pictures all over the place on all of the different places that are also temporary, but a little bit more revered among the general public than those big empty spaces of paperwork. We need to cut through the paperwork. We don't need to continue to subscribe to the things that we don't believe in if we don't believe in them. I certainly don't believe that there are any nightmares that can come true that we can't overcome in some way, as long as we have people together working with one another to help each other to get through those troubles. And what better way to do that than to have spent time walking by the river and sharing a Coke with someone, I don't want to do brand sponsorships, but literally that's what saved this is the thing that saved my life. Someone brought me a couple of drinks, my cousin, and it could not have been more perfectly timed. And we did talk about Cokes and the different sugars, like in the Mexican version, the bottled Coke, the cane sugar versus the syrup, and we talked about these things. And it's so amazing, the synchronicities, and like I say, they're very profound, and everything in moderation is something that we can understand. And maybe some cutbacks that happened in some particular segments in terms of pricing and availability are something that need to be evaluated. It's like, should we have invested in that or something else, this time around? And how do we do it? I don't know. That's why I've written many letters to different representatives, not just representatives in my own family, and I've just been met with drive-bys, man, and almost like theorists. I would call them conspiracy theorists. If ever I was gonna call something that wasn't offensive, but that kind of reminded me of how people think of me, there are some people that must think in some high conspiracy theorist type ways if they can't stop to say hi, or stop to see that it's a hot day and I was really sweating and I could have asked someone for a water or for the use of their gas powered mower for a little while, since the battery ones were overwhelmed by the yard. Should I have tended to that yard sooner? You tell me, guys. I mean, I've told you in the past what was happening from the bully that was basically living at this property, who I wish the best to, and I still revere as my father. I still think of him with a sort of reverence, and I still wish him the best. Right now, I'm just telling you, there's a little bit of responsibility that's kind of lacking, and I don't mean that in a demeaning way. I mean that in everyone has free will. And if you're watching this video and you haven't clicked on subscribe, you're a tough crowd. Click on subscribe. Those of you who understand what I'm saying, click the like button. Share the video someplace if you think that it's interesting, these topics that we're talking about. I know my market is out there among the people that are a little bit freer with their thought, and I fully expect this discussion to become something that we all learn from and succeed through. So if you can give me the decency to accommodate the fact that you are looking at these videos by clicking on subscribe, I absolutely appreciate it. I want you to have the free choice to do it. It's the way that's why I'm asking it that way. I don't want you to feel dirty about it. I just want you to understand that without any kind of additional prayer that is orchestrated and coordinated, and I say it in quotes because literally where two or more are gathered in a cause, that magnifies the energy. I need some energy that helps me to maybe break a curse, if you will, maybe break a curse on my own family that I see. And I do seek God first, and I do pray, and I do tell you very much that there are some spiritual aspects that we'll be discussing. And I also say that there's no choice that you have to make because of what I'm saying. There's no words that I'm going to say that are going to cause obfuscation. It's not going to be like I say, it's not like I'll say something like purgatory, for an example, and expect some kind of defined, rigid answer that's going to change my stance or your stance or our alignment, for that matter. If we both want my dad to get well, we both would subscribe to this channel. You know, I want your person of concern to be well as well. And so without these discussions and without our groups and cliques and power, we're going to come up struggling in some cases. So if I tell you, hey, I'm splashing around, but I'm having fun, I'm not at the panicking, drowning level that I was in the past. It's like I got past my floaties, you know, that I needed for the pool. Now I can back float. I'm not panicking. The waves are a little choppy, but I've got my breathing under control. I've got it. And I'm showing the way that we energize these things comes from money that turns into things that we see on the ground and everywhere around us. And so as we short out some of the energies that are causing additional currents to come in the negative form, we can heal. And so I'm asking for a little bit of healing while showing a little bit of learning, you know, across the board on so many levels that it's a tapestry. It's a beautiful tapestry. I'm so proud to be a part of it with you, and I appreciate your contributions, and I absolutely look forward to continuing to share these miracles with you. Peace, love, and all that old school stuff. Thanks for watching.